We're already in open, so I guess we just do the,
Mr. Mayor,
yes,
I've declared a pecuniary interest in the meeting that we held in there.
right,
I just wanted to make
yes,
that announcement.
and we've, was noted in the link run. And, okay, previous meeting, council, March the 4th. Anybody got any questions on the minutes? Moved by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Caldwell, that the minutes of the March 4th, 2014 council meeting be approved as circulated. All in favor? Additional items disclosed as other business. Ron, you had one?
Yes,
You can do one?
Anything else? Great.
Have a resolution for the- Moved by Councillor Turton, seconded by Councillor Faulkner, that the town of Minto convenes in a committee of the whole. All in favor? And we have a public meeting today. The public meeting is to consider amendment to the County of Wellington official plan for property located in Part Lot 11, Concession 14, Town of Minto. I'll act as the chair of the public meeting. I call the meeting to order to request all members of the public present to sign the attendance record book. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions or at a public meeting or make written submissions to the County of Wellington before the bylaw adopting the official plan amendment is passed, the person's or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the County of Wellington to the Ontario Municipal Board, and the persons or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing to the appeal before the board unless, in opinion of the board, there's reasonable grounds to do so. And I'll turn the over to CAO Clerk White to state the municipal address and the legal description of the property and the purpose and effect of the application and the date notices are sent.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The property subject of the proposed amendment is described as Part Lot 11, Concession 14 in the town of Minto. The land is mainly designated secondary agriculture with small areas of highway commercial motel and core greenlands. The subject lands are also within the mineral aggregate area. 4 separate properties are involved for a total area of 44.5 acres. Purpose and effect of the county official plan amendment is to expand policy area PA 5-1, Pike Lake Recreation Area, to include the subject lands. The southern half of the area has already been developed for a motel, miniature golf, and driving range. Future development of the lands will require an amendment to the town of Minto's zoning bylaw. Depending on the type of development, supporting studies may be required at that time. Notices were mailed to property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the subject lands and to applicable agencies and posted on the subject property February 25th, 2014. Comments were received from the Minto Chief Building Official, Roads Foreman, and Public Works Director with no concerns. Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority noted the proposed official plan amendment is acceptable prior to further development of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Supporting studies may be necessary to address habitat for endangered and threatened species. The proposed official plan amendment appears to conform to relevant policies in the county official plan and provincial policies. Their full letter is attached in your agenda. And the County of Wellington Manager of Planning, Mark Van Patter, who is here this evening.
All right, you want to?
Thank you, Your Worship. Members of council. I brought Sarah Fuller.
Yep.
I think everybody has their
Yes.
packet.
Yeah, we have a package of it. Yeah.
Just to ask, we're on the site of it. As you mentioned, this is for an official plan amendment for the Pike Lake area. You see on this air photo here, Pike Lake that's developed is on the east side of Pike Lake Road. The hotel is here and the driving range is over up in this area here. The subject property is in black. This is the area that we're dealing with for the official plan amendment. And the idea is to expand the Pike Lake special policy area, expand it into that area, cover that whole area, and at the same time redesignate it for recreation. The special policy area in the official plan allows a variety of uses. It's kind of an easy way for Pike Lake to just expand a bit, and then when they come up with specific uses, like one part of the property, they're going to have to do something with those uses at that time, depending on what the uses are.
Yeah, sorry, you should have been on the microphone. Just grab it, you can just pick it, yeah, sorry.
You want me to start over?
No.
Yes, please.
Can you remember exactly what you said? 'Cause I don't.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
Where am I?
That's, yeah, just so that'll be when they pick it up on the
Okay, well,
satellite.
that
there.
sounds good.
Forgot about that.
So basically, what we're doing then is the official plan amendment. We did, county gave notice to all the agencies. We really didn't get too many people responding. The only response of any significance is the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority, and they raised the issue of threatened endangered species, which we really don't know what they're talking about yet. I have talked to the Minister of Natural Resources about it, and they're going to be sending some comments in the next week probably, explaining what's there. We don't know, I think the applicant, Bruce Fulcher, may have some comments on it, but, you know, we really don't know what we're dealing with yet. For the most part, it's agriculture, so there can't be too much there. I suspect, you know, some of it's to do with Pike Lake, and so it may or may not be a big issue.
Right.
We're not sure. In terms of expanding the special policy area, I think it's a good idea. Pike Lake's an extremely valuable employer in the, you know, in the North Wellington, really.
Right.
So I think we need to support them as much as we can. And because there's no, it's secondary agriculture, we don't have the prime agricultural issue of converting that land. The neighboring uses are essentially either agriculture or there is some wooded areas to the north and some wetlands and wooded areas to the south and open space around there. And I already mentioned about future rezonings. There's a good chance there may have to be studies done. So if they were putting in trailers or year-round or seasonal trailers, there'd have to be something done for servicing, so studies that way. And I also included at the back of your package just a draft of the official plan amendment that shows the whole area being turned into special policy area 5.1 with the core greenlands remaining. So that's where we'd be going with it. And I guess in closing, I think we really can't do too much tonight, you know, other than receive information. And as soon as we start finding out about the endangered and threatened species in the area, then the applicant will have to start dealing with the ministry and sort that out. I'm hoping it's not a big deal. You know, it's not like there's natural area on that property. It's all farm, so I'm hoping there's not too much there. At some point, when we get to the point of being able to support it, then we'll be looking for a resolution from, you know, the township council, town council to pass on to the county. Then the county can deal with the official plan amendment.
Right.
I think that's about it.
Questions?
Yeah,
Councilor
just to
Paul.
clear something up for me, what is the purpose of doing this before knowing what you're gonna do with the land? Like, and then you would apply for the proper zoning at that time? Like, for instance, I'll give you the example, expand the motel, and you wanna expand it back into the special
Into the
area.
new
Yeah,
area. that's-
and I know you might not want to do that, but just in case, what is the purpose of doing this now as opposed to at the time when you want to do the expansion?
Well, I think, well, this is all that they've applied
Just
for
for
now.
my clip.
Yeah, this is all that they've applied for, but it makes some sense in that you set the planning principle of what's going to be in the area, even though you don't know the details yet, and you use the rezoning for the details. So the way the special policy area is worded in the county plan is that, like even across the road, they can do different things back here, but they may have to get rezoned for it, and when they do, they'll have to do any supporting studies. So the county plan sets that out. It just stops them from having the hassle of not knowing whether they conform with the official plan. This sort of states that this is going to be a recreational area of some type in the future. We're not quite sure, but probably similar to, you know, what's already there, and depending on what they do, we'll deal with it at that point.
Thank you. Gary?
Yes, in the opening remarks, it was mentioned that subject lands are within a mineral aggregate area. What's the significance of that? Does it matter if they're not planning on developing it as an aggregate area?
Yeah, it can be an issue, but in this case here, you know, half the land's developed already, And I'm not sure, it's within the mineral agri resource area, but I'm not sure how good this is here. Maybe that's a question for Mr. Fulcher. But, as I say, there's competing interest. You know, we've got an existing recreational area that's quite important.
Wouldn't it be up to the individual?
To some, yeah, to some extent, that's right. You know, it's up to the individual. If there was a wonderful resource here and it was obvious, like hills kind of things, then, you know, you might think about, you know, taking that out of there before you develop.
Before you do the rest.
But
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I think it's a good thing, looking ahead and changing the plan to accommodate what's coming up in the future. And I mean, Sean's grandpa 50 years ago purchased that, and it's been a wonderful thing. And it's nice to see the third generation here in the council chambers coming forward and taking control, if you will. So I think it's a great thing.
Great, thanks, Tom.
Okay.
Hang around just in case.
Okay,
eh?
will do.
Could be.
Now I'll call on the applicant. Bruce, do you want to say a few words on this? You got quite a folder there, so I assumed you got something to say.
That's on Mark's fault.
It's his follow-up.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Is that on?
That's on, yeah.
The endangered species du jour only came out, I guess, last week or so. Otherwise, we perhaps would have had a study done. Based on the information I've been able to obtain, there's a potential of snapping turtles
Where?
somewhere in that area. I think they come up from the pond or
I
the
think
lake.
it's on the other side of the road.
Well, you can see that, so we gotta watch that we
Okay.
don't have too many people run them over, we
Yeah.
have to build a bridge. Apparently, one of the other potential endangered species is barn swallows,
Okay, barn swallows.
but there's no barn
There's no barn on there.
anywhere near.
No bobolinks, eh?
That came up for discussion, but the jury's still out.
Yeah.
No one is sure whether they're there or not in that area, so we're waiting for that. One of my concerns of doing the official plan amendment initially was to get it done before any changes to zoning or land use, so that would be on the books, out of the way, and the zoning bylaw amendments could take place when the client decides what they want to do with the property. What I'm going to suggest, based on the second paragraph of the notice, it says that any future development will require an amendment to the Town of Minto Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw and depend on the type of development supporting studies. And I'm wondering whether or not, Mark, we didn't have a chance to discuss this, but whether or not this could go forward, subject to that being a requirement before any future development's being done.
Mark, you got? Yeah, like, once you see that.
They may have to get a permit.
Again, going back to the timing issue, my concern is this, that if we have to undertake that study, from what I understand from the consultant I've contacted, the window for one of the species is two sightings or two observations in the month of June, no closer than 2 weeks apart. If that happens, I can't write the report until they complete the study. The study wouldn't be finished until, say, the end of June, middle of July, assuming that all parties have, have signed off on it. County Council doesn't meet in the summer. So we're now looking at a window of September, October, before final approval for the official plan amendment. So if the client wants to do something in the fall, we couldn't even attempt to file a zoning bylaw amendment. But if the OPA gets approved now, goes to county council in a month or two, we get approval on the OPA in advance, again, subject to that, and that's one of the studies that would have to be done before any specific development is done on the property.
Maybe, Mark, if you want to come up to, because we need the mic. And then Ron was going to ask a question first, and then I'll get you.
Okay, yep.
So I guess what we're hearing is if the ministry and sometimes they don't work really fast, and we get this June, I assume that's for the snapping turtles. I would imagine, because June would be when they've been moving around. But anyways, is what we're saying, Bruce is saying, like, can we do it subject to getting, like, so we can get the report going? Because I can see as an issue as far as the summertime, if we don't have county council. We do have planning, but then we wouldn't be able to rectify it until September, would we?
Yeah.
Or even-
I think we really gotta wait and see what M&R's got to say.
Okay. And how fast can we get them going? Do you have an idea?
Well, they should be able to point out what the issues are, and then I think it's a matter of, the applicants dealing with M&R and figuring out how to satisfy them. And M&R could well say that, well, the OPA is not a problem.
Yeah.
You can do the OPA.
Because we still have to do zoning.
But, yeah, you can sort it out at the zoning stage, when you're actually figure out what you're gonna do there, because right now you're farming it.
Right.
Right.
So I think we gotta get the go-ahead from M&R basically.
And we still, Bruce, we still have, like, we're in March, right? So we have, if they don't drag their feet, I mean, you can get what we need. We got April, May, June. Like, hopefully May, June, we have to look for the sightings, right? But maybe they could give us an idea of what they're looking at.
Yeah, they may be able to say, it's fine, approve the OPA now. When you get down to the zoning, you're gonna have to, deal with the species.
We're gonna have to deal with the species anyway, it's just a
Yeah.
question of
When?
what comes first,
Yeah,
the
that's
chicken or the egg.
Yeah, and I think you have to let M&R decide that because there's legislation
Yes.
for it.
But is M&R the driving force, or is it Saugeen?
Oh, the Saugene's just the one that found it. M&R, it's their act and they're the ones enforcing it, so.
Well, there has been discussion, and I didn't ask who it was, because I was told I wouldn't be told, at this stage. It must have been M&R determining that. If I may just answer another question that came up when I was thinking about it. I've handled this issue in 2 or 3 other sites with the prime aggregate, restricting, quote, development. Given the nature of the facilities, as Mark mentioned, and the general location of the houses that are on the property,
Yeah.
and no development would ever be permitted for a gravel pit anyway.
No, that's what I was thinking.
So it's a moot point.
You have one first, Ron, and then Ron.
Yeah, just, I believe you want from this council just a, objection or no objection to go forward to county from here. Because it is county's decision, right?
Right.
And it is M&R's decision. And, so really what we have to say about this is either support or not support it. Do I read that correctly?
Not well.
Yeah, that's what I think you're right. In the end of the day, we're looking for that.
Sure.
I guess you could give that support,
Subject to,
It's subject to the county's decision.
yeah, so they wouldn't necessarily have to come back here.
That's
and-
right.
Right, or subject to.
And then, but deal with the county, because the county's gonna have to deal with this and be
Yeah.
comfortable with it, right?
Yeah.
That's
It's
right.
gonna come back to us eventually anyways, right?
Or through rezoning.
To rezoning,
Or
but not-
rezoning.
Yeah. You
So-
could make it sort of subject to, the endangered and threatened species, issue being addressed,
Yeah. That's not,
something like that.
I think that's what my point was gonna be, if we find that M&R are dragging their feet, we could probably expedite it. And then on that condition that we move forward, and M&R would have, if they have an objective after the fact, that we could rescind that or move backwards.
well, we
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily have to, because it's still in the
Obviously
county.
not, and
County
that-
has to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, I think I think you can, Bill maybe can weigh in on this, I think you can support it conditional on that issue being resolved.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, and then,
Makes sense to you,
Yeah,
Bill?
when, I would suggest that would go after you're done the public meeting here, but you could do that resolution
Yep.
right after, or you could do
Yep.
it next meeting,
Yeah.
whatever. But don't know, we're gonna get a whole lot of other input from the looks of the crowd, so I think we should.
I mean, the other thing is you can just wait a couple of weeks to, one of your next meetings and deal with it then. And at least it might make sense to find out what we're dealing with before we go too far.
Mayor Bridge, if I may, we wouldn't need the applicant or anything.
No, that's what I meant. We would
We
need
could
you
draft a
for that.
resolution, I would get Mark to review it and just have it on your agenda and you do it. I don't think that's gonna hold anyone up.
I think our next meeting's April the first. Yeah. Cool.
You sure about
I
that?
don't wanna be quoted.
Yeah. All right, so that'd be good. We can do that. Do you have a question?
That's basically what I was going to
Yeah.
suggest.
Mr. Mayor, I think the only endangered species would be my golf balls that are right there.
You hit them way up there, Ron. We're in big trouble.
That's the endangered one.
All right, thanks, Bruce.
I
Oh,
just
you
have-
want more?
I just have one
Yeah.
other, I talked about this with Mark briefly beforehand. One of my concerns is that the Endangered Species Act is adding more and more animals to it on what seems like a weekly basis. And I guess the generic question is, I don't think the answer you're going to table anyway, is that assuming we resolve this issue and the client doesn't want to develop that property for, say, would there be a requirement to revisit that type of study again to meet the condition of the zoning bylaw at the time of that?
Or would it be grandfathered in?
And that would be up to M&R.
Yeah, I think we'd want to look into that and
Yeah.
figure that out.
Yeah, it's a sort of a can of worms, not being endangered, the worms.
No, but it is changing.
Yeah, no, I understand
on a
that.
weekly basis almost.
Yeah.
it seems. I toss it up for what it's worth.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm all for trying to keep endangered species alive, but it gets a little bit, and I think I saw a project that was, I don't know how many, like $1 million for mussels, 6 or 12 mussels got moved for a bridge that cost them a year's worth of waiting. I mean, there has to be a limitation to what we have to save, right?
In my former life, we moved a $3 million satellite microwave system in the Northwest Territories because it's on the flight path, and I always want to say the build over, but they were already gone. It might have been a whooping crane or something. We actually had to
Move it.
relocate it at great expense.
Anyways, that'll be it for another day. I think we'll do that, and that would work out, I think. Okay, thanks. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Call anyone wishing to comment in opposition to the proposed amendment? Don't see anybody. Sean's not getting up to that.
How about Glenn?
Glenn isn't. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the County of Wellington in respect to the proposed official amendment application, you must make a written request to the Director of Planning and Development Department, County of Wellington, 74 Woolwich Street, Guelph, Ontario, N1H3T9, 519-837, 2600, extension 2020. There's no further comments. I'll adjourn the public meeting. Thanks for coming. Everybody's already gone. Okay, good. I'm trying to read fast. My goodness.
You're pretty exciting.
Go fly. Okay, moving on. Where are we?
I was so excited to go to our meeting.
Your date? Sign your name. Sign your name. Okay, that's going on. No delegations, public question period. Anybody have a question? Okay. Correspondence received for information requiring direction of council. Okay, anybody, we get a motion to accept the correspondence?
I have a,
Sorry.
that's not a question, maybe just a comment. At the Good Roads Conference, I spoke with Dennis Lever, and he highly recommended number 3 there, the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs Municipal Official Seminar. And our chief is a part of that executive, so it might be worth considering sending someone from this council to that. He said it's really well worth the time spent, so we might want to consider consider that.
And Mayor Lieber has mentioned that to me a couple of times.
Where's that being held?
I think it's at Toronto. I think.
Toronto, it's always in Toronto.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we might look at that. Yep. Okay. Motion to accept correspondence. Council Faulkner, Deputy Mayor Fisk, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Yes, yes, we have the reports of committees now, and we have the Minto Creative Incubator. We have Glenn, you coming up as chair, or you want to come up? You've never been afraid of a mic.
Never been here before, I don't know.
No, yeah.
Glenn, your
Hey.
nose is growing.
Anyways.
Okay, these are the minutes from March 7th, 2014 for the Minto Creative Industry Incubator. Acting Chair Mayor George Bridge welcomed everyone and opened the meeting. Mayor Bridge requested nominations for the position of chair. Glenn Hall was nominated by Belinda Witt-Graham. No other nominations were brought forward. The board discussed the day-to-day operations of the incubator. Chair Glenn informed the board of directors that Kimball Printing was sold to Calvin Fry on March 5th, 2014. Calvin is of Millbank, Ontario, and the company will now be called Innovative Print. The new owner expressed that he would like to keep Innovative Print in Hairston. However, as this business venture is under strict time constraints, a move to Mount Forest might be necessary should he not find suitable office space in Hairston. John Burgess, prior owner of Kimball Printing, suggested to Glenn that the Minto Creative Industry Incubator acquire Unit 3 and rent the first 500 square feet to Innovative Print. Acquisition of Unit number 3 would allow for Innovative Print to have a downtown storefront, as well as a location for Irmgard and Lloyd to work out of. Innovative Print has offered for all incubator tenants to utilize their professional photocopier on a code system, which would allow for funds initially allocated to a new photocopier for the incubator to be utilized for renovations. The new concept for the incubator space would be to house business center tenants like Innovative Print and McLaughlin Financial, while Unit 4 would remain reserved for incubator tenants only. The board of directors discussed the positives and negatives of having both Unit 3 and Unit 4. Positives included eliminating a large startup cost, the photocopier, and allows for a great local business to stay in Minto. It offers more space for the potential of businesses, a dedicated private meeting space, and an open space for events, some things that the incubator is currently lacking. The board could not see negatives of pursuing Unit number 3. Negotiations with the landlord will commence. The goal will be to recover all occupancy costs from the commercial tenants. The board of directors discussed options for regular cleaning of the incubator. Board Chair Glenn stated that Adopt-A-Mop cleans his office and they do an excellent job. Tenants will be required to empty their own garbage, wash their own dishes, etc., as the cleaners would only be responsible for the major cleaning such as vacuuming, dusting, and washrooms. The board of directors discussed several training opportunities for incubator managers through Guelph Wellington Volunteer Center, National Business Incubator Association, Canadian Business Incubator and the Canadian Business Incubator Association. I will be conducting more research into these training programs. The board of directors discussed potential names for the incubator. After a short discussion, the name Launch It Minto with the tagline, "A Hub for Growth and Innovation," was agreed upon. The board of directors formed mini committees and assigned a board member to each committee. Application process and lease agreements will be Ralph Drost. Develop relationships with complementary community organizations will be taken over by Mayor George Bridge with the assistance of Glenn Hall. Education and training programs will be Belinda Witt-Graham. One-day creative education event, Glenn Hall. Sponsorships and donations, Hope Robertson. Marketing and promotion plan, Shannon Duff. Website, Andrew Gowan. Branding and image, Nicola McEwen. Renovations, John Cox from the Chamber of Commerce. Mentorship program, Glenn Hall. The board discussed a potential opening date for the incubator, and after a brief discussion, it was decided that the opening date would be the beginning of May.
questions for Carissa or Glenn? Looking here, Chris.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, I just noticed here, there's a notation, the board discussed their concerns with mixed messages being sent about the incubator. I wonder if you could expand upon that.
Yeah, there were mixed messages. I think just the one point being, we've read in the media and different times that it was to be it was stated that it was kind of a discounted rent type scenario, and that's not the intent of the incubator at all. It will be reasonable and fair rent for the amount of space that's given. The biggest advantage of being a tenant of the incubator is the fact that you get access to a lot of different services. Creative hub, literally, is what this is going to be, where you have other businesses who are all at the same development stage as yourself. We'll be bringing in multiple training programs. We're hoping to bring in a mentorship program where we'll bring in business experts to be able to work with the individual incubator tenants to be able to develop and grow their business. Depending on how the application process falls out, they may even need a business plan before they come in. What we're here there is to help them grow and develop quickly, be successful, and develop new opportunities to be able to, you know, grow and innovate.
So
the mixed messages really was just, we had read a few times that it was for a discounted rent, was kind of the biggest perk.
So the mixed message wasn't amongst the board members, it was from the outside, is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
No, the board's we're tight.
Good, good.
Yeah. And I actually, coming out of the, and you'll see the BRNE results for Minto shortly, and we've had it for the county, and one of the big things was there's a lot of need for training, small businesses out there, and the Launchette is also going to be doing an outreach program,
Yeah.
which I think a lot of that will give a lot of benefit to existing businesses out there, and that's why it's such a great marriage with the chamber, because you have those connections as well. So I'm looking forward to great things with this, and it's going to be a real model and a pilot for Wellington County. Yep.
So just need a motion to approve the minutes. Just want to maybe add on that Chair Glenn has taken the bull by the horns and already negotiated the lease, so.
Yes, we're already there.
So that lease will be coming to April 1st on Unit 3, so they've moved very quickly on that, so lots of momentum.
I hope we approve it, because I think they moved in today.
They're granted access through the goodness of
The landlord gave
Yeah,
permission.
we haven't, just to make that clear, the landlord and the tenant have had a small special arrangement until we get there. We're not jumping the gun. But the big thing was, and I think I said it today in one of my meetings, the thing was we were able, because we had something on the ground already, we had a system in place, that we're able to save that business for the town of Minto. That would have gone somewhere else. And we all know that Kimball Printing's been a great asset, and to have Irmgard and Lloyd still here and able to give us that kind of support and need we need in the community, because a lot of people use them. And just because the printing might be being done in Millbank now, it really doesn't mean that the actual business is going to still be in Minto, which is good. It's a good resource to have.
Valuable business.
So we have we're going to second it? Councilor Elliott, Councilor Turton, all in favor? Good. Thank you, guys. I think do you want to do Ron quickly, and then Darryl come up? We're going to move Public Works up.
Thank you very much.
So I would turn that over to Councilor Turton.
Thank you, Mayor.
We can do that later.
Rich, I'll ask, Darryl, did you set the standard for the dress tonight? What's with this black tie? Is that a first or what? Thanks for coming, you guys. We have 2 items on the Public Works agenda this evening. First one being the Drinking Water Systems Annual Summary Report. As we all know, Darrell's our lead in the water in Minto, and which one of you fellows are going to give the report?
I can make a comment on it, Mr. Mayor and councilors. I think before I get into the report, I'm happy to say that 2013 was a good year from the standpoint of running our water systems. No real issues. 2014, with the cold weather, has certainly been a challenge with freezing water lines. We're working through that and praying for an early warm spring. So we've had a lot of work being done by fellow water operators, and I'm very happy with the way the department is working. For the reports, you've been supplied with the annual and summary reports. You've all had opportunity to review them, so again, these reports are a requirement from Rig 70, from the MOE, that the annual report is a report presented for the public's review, and the summary report is for the town owner, for council. The annual report basically speaks to our water, our chemical sampling, and back T samples, and we've had no real issues. At this point, with your review being done, I'll let you present any questions or discussion on them.
Any questions for Darrell?
I have a couple, Darrell. One was the chemical used for iron sequestering. Hairston and Palmerston had PW 1680, I think, in the other, and Clifford was sodium silicate.
That's correct.
Just
yeah.
wondering what's the difference, or is one more update, more modern, or what's the reason?
PW 1680 is a polyphosphate product. It's been around a long time. It's working well in Clifford and Hairston. I'll give a brief explanation what it does. As a sequestering agent, it coats the iron molecule before chlorine is exposed to it. With the iron molecule coated, it stays coated, and it won't you won't get the iron residual in the distribution system. So that's the main purpose for sequestering. It helps keep the water lines clean. Sodium silicate we use in Clifford is when I say a newer product, like it's been around a long time too. Jim Dart is an expert in the field of sequestering, and because we had the issue of the water main buildup of iron and manganese in Clifford, when we took over for amalgamation, we were finding that regular flushing just wasn't getting the mains cleaned out. So in conjunction with our consultants, they brought in Jim Dart, who is a specialist in this field, and he highly recommended us try sodium silicate. So we did some trial runs with it, with some testing done locally in the well houses, and found it to perform. So the fact it performed as well as it did, we made the switch over. So.
And just one other question. The Palmerston well number 4, the sodium reading was 79.3, and the standard is 20, so that's 4 times normal. I'm just wondering what could be the problem there, and what do we do about it? Or
Sure, I can give an explanation for that. At the time, the well was drilled in 2010, and as part of the process of drilling the well is doing sampling. The well, when they put the well in the well casing, they use bentonite, and there's a certain amount of sodium in the bentonite. And the hydrogeologist, I had a discussion with them, and at the time they felt the high number was due to the sodium in the bentonite. So that was 2010. 2012, we resampled again, and for sodium, and the results were down to 11 milligrams per liter, which is well below the 20. So their conclusion, or our conclusion from that is that that the drilling process and the installation was causing the high.
So they don't have a problem waiting 2 years to see why it would be that high?
Well, the well was drilled in 2010, and it didn't actually go into service till 2013.
Okay.
So
That water never entered into the
no,
system?
no.
Oh, that's
So
good.
we were proactive and sampled prior to putting it online, and with the low readings, we didn't see a problem.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions for Daryl? Hearing none, then, the recommendation is that the Council of Town of Minto approve the 2013 annual and summary reports for the Town of Minto drinking water systems, including the Clipper drinking water system, the Harrison drinking water system, Palmerston drinking water system, and Minnow Pine subdivision drinking water system. Is that a motion to approve?
make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor Fisk, seconded by Councillor Faulkner. All in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much, Daryl. Appreciate you doing some legwork, and appreciate all the hard work that you guys have done. And, on behalf of the council, please make sure that everybody knows we know that it's been a hard winter, and I don't think you're going to get your wish of spring coming early.
Lost.
Second item on the agenda tonight is the Minto Green Legacy Days, and Brian, would you mind elaborating on this?
No problem. As in the past years, the County of Wellington's Planning and Development Department has reserved 35,000 trees, which is to be distributed equally to each local municipality. Last year, the Public Works Department, council, and staff volunteered their time in the handing out of these trees, which was a really big success. There's been, I think we're all done by 7 o'clock, 7:30, handing them out. So again, this year, we're looking for volunteers from council and staff for Saturday, May 3rd. So if you can mark that in your calendar, then we can hand out some more trees this year.
I think the reason why we were finished early last year was because we started early. There was a lineup.
That's right, there's lineup waiting.
We didn't bring the coffee till really late either. Somebody, we're almost done.
That was,
Yeah.
that was
In charge of
the CAO one, huh?
Well, Mary Lou, wasn't
It
it?
was me, but I was
By the
there.
time she brings the coffee, and we're all ready to go home.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Councillor Caldwell.
I just wanted to make one comment. I did hear several comments last year, though, that they were taking orders in advance. And as a result, when people would come, the trees would already be spoken for. And I wondered how we should deal with that in a different way. Either we don't take advance orders, or we publicize it more that we do take advance orders to give everyone a fair shot.
I think it was mentioned last year that we did take advanced orders on them. So if you prefer not to do that this year, we can also do that.
Well, I'm not sure. I personally heard it from at least 4 or 5 people
That particular day?
that day.
That
They
day.
were a little upset about the fact
Yeah.
that they really wanted this type of
Brian,
tree
how-
and was already spoken for.
How many people were disappointed last year? Anybody? Everybody got,
Everybody got theirs. We took orders afterwards, and if
Oh,
we
so they
ran out
got
of a
them after
certain,
the fact.
definitely, yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That was gonna be my question.
yeah, go ahead.
Because we did take orders,
We
and
did.
everybody did get satisfied, right?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's,
Okay.
so that worked out.
All right.
They even did more than what we had just.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Just on the time, I think it said 8 to 10, and is it 7 that we're starting,
I
or?
know we were
Well,
looking
if I
for
say
it.
7 o'clock, then that'll get council there early and the staff, so help straighten out the trees. The trees come the Friday before, so the morning, we usually come around 7 o'clock to separate all the trees and put them in the proper
So we're open
categories.
for business at 8 o'clock then? is
Open
that-
for business at 8 o'clock, yeah.
Okay.
Last year. 2 years.
Sorry, Mayor Bridge, go ahead, Councillor Faulkner.
Yeah, and I think maybe when we say we're open for business at 8 o'clock, we better wait for 8 o'clock.
Open the door at 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll open the door at
Open
8
the
o'clock
door at
and
8.
Mayor Bruce?
Well, that was my point, because I think what happened was people
The door
came at
was
8
open.
and everything was gone. So like, I mean, if we say 8 to the public, we better not open till 8. because-
Yeah. Well, we'll say
Yeah, I
7
think
to
at
get the
7,
council.
7:30, people were gone. I think a lot of people were
Staff
taking
there.
orders by 8.
7.
The key is
7.
everybody gets satisfied.
Exactly. And
That's
then-
right, in
And
the
that's,
end.
that's the key here.
We took names and what they wanted, and then we made the order after and brought them in, and they come pick them up.
Perfect. Yes, go
And
ahead.
I think the point was, the year before, we got stuck with a whole bunch of things and sent them back. So that was real successful last year. Let's just keep working on it.
Yep, yep.
Build on it, yep.
Any other questions? The recommendation here then is that the Town of Minto Council receives and supports the Public Works Director's report in regards to the Minto Green Legacy Days. A motioner, please. Thank you, Councillor Caldwell, seconded by Councillor Elliott. All in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much. I'll pass the chair back to our mayor. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Carol. So I think we're going to do Parks and Rec. Now, did Ron want to do that, or yeah, you don't have a Parks and Rec person here, Ron?
Sure. It's not, other than the smoking, there's, everything else pretty well. Normal things, we talked about the Norgan and the program initiatives and such like, what's happened, so you can read that for yourself. I just want to mention that we're very proud of the Norgan again for getting their debt down to $51,583. And the board's working diligently to try and get it down even some more. They're trying to raise funds again this year with extra activities other than the movies. And the movies are making a profit, so, and that's because of it. We've gained another team for that Norgan Theater, so we're back up to 6 teams that, so every 6 weeks we'll have a new team operating, so, or every week, yeah, every 6 weeks your team will operate. Also want to comment on the Recreation Department passed a motion that council, I'll just read it to, under the direction of the county, I don't know, where is this, where is it? Oh, that is known, PrAC will only endorse staff creating a smoke-free policy that would affect the outdoor recreational spaces. We talked about smoking, and I think we discussed that before, and we were going to bring it back to us in March. So March come along, and it was just a coincidence these group of people came and talked to us about smoke-free, and they're trying to get it across the county. Again, I think with the county's input, they're waiting for the provincial, because the provincial were looking to move towards that. In the meantime, and these people see this done in other communities too, that we were hoping that our council would pass a policy, and not a bylaw, a policy that we know smoking in outdoor spaces, and we're hoping that the staff, along with Mr. Lubers, would put together that policy and bring it back to council for our thoughts about it, and that's the motion that they brought forward. Now, I did, just for your information, I went on their site for the provincial government to find out where they're at. They are bringing forth some information on smoking, but again, it hasn't even gone to legislation, there's nothing, so we could be 2 years, 3 years before we put anything together as a provincial law to handle this. I think it's something that our community's got to be proactive in by passing a policy, and that doesn't necessarily, the only cost to the town would be signage. There would be no teeth to it in the fact that nobody would get fined if they were caught smoking in there. But I believe that by putting a policy out there and seeing signs up at a ballpark and such like, or if somebody was in the stands, for example, having a cigarette, I believe that the people would police themselves and suggest to them, see that sign, maybe it's time that you should step back and not smoke in our facility. So that's our thoughts about it, because we don't want to step on anybody's toes and create a bylaw that, although there are 56, it says 58 Ontario municipalities, that's 61% of the population already banned smoking in playgrounds, so they've got bylaws out there. It says each year tobacco claims 13,000 lives, equivalent to 36 lives every day. Tobacco-related costs in Ontario health care system estimated at $1.9 billion. That would be a lot of money in the town of Minto, wouldn't it? And if we can deter that, it'll lower that cost too. They said 24.5% in 2012, or 255,000 fewer smokers now. And if you notice traveling around, you see crowds of smokers in front of the school and such like that. I'm sure we can't do anything about the schools, but we can certainly do something about our facilities. So, all I'm suggesting today that we'll get Mr. Lubers and along with our staff to prepare some sort of policy, bring it to us, and we can consider it when we pass it as a policy. Would that be fair? Instead of trying to make a motion tonight.
Yeah, I would think so, because I think you should have, look, I mean, in here, it talks about patios, what's that?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
are you talking about,
Well, that's the direction, I think we're just talking about direction of our own facilities.
right, not getting
Yeah,
into dealing with restaurants
No,
and
I
stuff
don't,
like
no,
that?
I don't think we're not talking about any private
But I think
issues.
that's where I think it has to come to, the province has to step up to the plate.
What we're talking about is town and Minto
Yeah.
facilities and such like. So if we pass that on, we could use that as direction to staff without making a motion tonight. Would that be fair, Mr. White? So that's the way I'd like to see it happen, and we'll move that direction. We'll bring a policy back to council for your consideration, and we'll decide then if we want to do it. Okay?
Do we need a motion to that effect?
Mayor Bridge, I would suggest you just approve the minutes. and
Minutes, because it's in the minutes.
It's in the minutes,
Yeah.
and certainly from a staff perspective, we support the policy direction rather than the bylaw at this
Bylaw.
point. We'll let the province
That's
do
what we
its
felt
work.
too. We
Yeah.
felt it was,
Kevin Luer, Council Turton, seconder, and Council Faulkner, all in favor? Yeah. All right, thanks, Ron.
yes? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, the
Through you-
question?
Through you, Mayor Bridge, I just had a question in regards to recreation. When are the ice scheduled to come out, do you know? I was asked this
The ice,
question.
I think the ice in Harrison is coming out right after the
Skate,
skate carnival, which is, I think, the 29th.
it's the last weekend.
29th, and in Palmerston, it's coming out right after the 81s finish.
Okay, so they are going to wait until,
Yes, I think it's,
that was the question,
I think it's imperative.
because somebody heard it was coming out April 1st, and they said, well, the 81s just started a new.
I think Greg has started that rumor.
Okay. So basically, we wouldn't take out the ice in an arena while we had one of our own teams.
I don't believe that. And we also got an Animal Ontario team going.
Right.
And I actually, I don't know where they're gonna find ice time, but Drayton has 3 teams that are, I think somebody told me the other day, that are going forward, and they have to take theirs out because of the farm show. So they'll probably be coming to Palmerston too and asking
And
for
that's
ice
good,
time.
that's all good.
Yeah.
Oh, we are having ice issues right now because the teams are being put out, but, that will improve.
Clifford's out by now.
Yeah, Clifford's out.
And
That was our,
Harrison would be out if it wasn't.
yeah, that's, the goal was to shorten seasons where we didn't have ice, to try to make the deficits better. Anyways, okay, good stuff.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we did. All in favor? We did that.
We did that.
Yeah, we did. Okay, moving on. So, staff reports. Oh, Annalene's right there. I think she just knows when she's up. Go for a mic.
Your worship and members of council, tonight my report is the appointment bylaw update. We are looking to update a representative for James Way Manor, which Diane Lawless said she would put her name forward, as well as adding some members to the Trees for Farms, which would be community members Paul Martin and Melvin Stuckel, as well as Maitland Valley Conservation Authority staff Jeff King. What I'm looking for is that you receive my report and you will consider approval of the bylaw in council's regular session.
Just, I guess, a comment or a question regarding the Trees for Farms. Are we going to have future appointments, or this will be ongoing, or we can do this again if we, because I think,
Still need some,
well, yeah, I think we still haven't got a commercial farmer. I think that's important. And after our meeting on Friday, I got thinking, maybe we should get a representative from the Calc class at Norwell, perhaps, participating if there's some interest, because there's potential for some grant money, and if you incorporate the youth into it, your chances are much better, and I think they're going to be a natural for us to help plant trees and some of the things we want to do anyway, so.
And they'll be coming to our next community gardens once, like and ask the teachers. I mean, the two young guys that are the leaders this year seem very, very good.
Well, I think they would have something to add to
Well,
that committee,
Yeah.
and I think it would benefit the committee going forward with respect to grants and looking for shovels to plant the trees down the road. I think they're going to be a major resource
They
for
have
us.
24 in that course, so that definitely
So,
If we get additional people, we can amend the bylaw again.
okay, thanks.
Motion to accept the recommendation. Ron and Ron, all in favor? Good, great. And thanks, Terry, for being at that meeting. I was not able to double book. Bill?
Mayor Bridge, the Footprints to Forest program is reported on in your package. That same report went to the Trees for Farm Committee. It came out of Deputy Mayor Fisk's inquiry, I believe a meeting or two ago, regarding how we might fit this program into a municipal program. I did contact the representatives at the Asabo Bayfield Conservation Authority and the Maitland Valley Group, and they did explain to me how the program works. They have established a website which is called www.footprintstoforest.com. And on that website, any individual can go on there, calculate their carbon footprint, and make a donation for the respective number of trees to offset their carbon output and offset the through the environment, improving the environment by planting more trees. This has been developed in a report that came through the two conservation authorities, quite a lengthy report that looked at the very complicated world of carbon credits and all those things, and how we can link climate change and that concern with getting more public buy-in and donations toward the environment. What came out of it in my discussions with them is, rather than getting sort of too involved in that aspect of things that many others are dealing with, that we just take the formula that they apply in the program and apply it here. And when Maitland Valley did it, their carbon footprint was offset by about 92 trees per year. Here in Minto, our carbon footprint would be offset by about 950 trees planted per year. So what the program does is allow you to find ways of trying to fund that footprint, and the Trees for Farm group will be part of our solution to that, along with the Green Legacy program and any other things we might participate in. So what we can do is, through our own program, look at dedicating 1 cent per liter of the fuel we consume toward tree planting. And our estimate is that we consume about 130,000 liters of fuel here at the town. And it seems like a lot, but when we talked about it at the management table, we figure that's about correct. So that alone, if you took 1 cent out of that, there would be $1,300 generated. Also, in terms of mileage claims, if everyone took 1 cent less and the balance went on a volunteer basis, you'd donate another $360 to that program. So I believe the treasurer has even amended the budget already to include these figures, but if we wanted to buy into this concept and go toward a voluntary donation of 1 cent per kilometer from those who claim mileage and 1 cent per liter of fuel consumed, we could generate $1,660 for the committee to start its work. So that's our recommendation to you. I think from what I heard, that got support at the committee as well, and certainly seems like a logical approach to trying to help offset some of the impacts of their vehicles on the environment.
Somebody want to move that recommendation? Deputy Mayor Fisk and Councilor Caldwell, all in favor? I think that's a great way to go, and thanks, Chair, for bringing that up.
again, I think the town of Minto is showing some leadership here. I'm guessing we'll be the first municipality to do this, and I have a Maitland Valley Conservation Authority meeting tomorrow night, and I'll be very proud to tell them that we're moving ahead with this program.
Good. Okay, Bill?
Mayor Bridge, we gave notice in the media that, as required by our notice bylaw, that we had certain fees and charges we needed to change. Those are outlined in red in the attachments. The fees are in the administration area. Some of them are new fees for things to do with freedom of information requests and that sort of thing. In the treasury section, there's new fees for duplicate bills, moving utility arrears into the tax account, taking tax sale tender packages, things like that. And then the recreation fees, you may recall when we looked at this last year, they had a 3 or 4 year schedule in there. Our bylaw covered 2013 and 2014, so the new fees for 2014 and 2015, which would be next season, would be included here. So there are some increases in field and camps and ice rentals as well. These have been discussed with the user groups, and we had no response to the notifications in the paper of the fee increases. So our recommendation is that you just receive this report and consider the bylaw before you in regular session.
Let's follow.
Yes, may I just ask a question? In regards to things like the duplicate receipt or bill, would that $20 charge be per bill? Like if someone required their taxes for last year, say for example for their income tax, would that be an $80 charge with 4? Or no, if they required several bills, more than one bill, is that $20 per bill? If package, okay. And I was just wondering if maybe we should put a maximum on it or no? Just leave it at that and. Mm-hmm.
Perhaps we could use our judgment on it. It is a bit of a new fee, if I'm not mistaken, or
It is a bit of an issue, yeah.
people will let us know if it becomes,
I guess just
An ordinance,
speaking professionally, working for a company that has several properties involved, and tax bills do tend to get lost the odd time. I have called for copies of bills, and I just, if I had, 6 properties, would it be 6 times 20, I guess is my question. Or discretion with time used, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Through you, Mayor Bridge, this basically is just cost recovery, is it not? We're not trying to make money on it, it's just staff's time getting the bill and making the copy, so.
And, yeah, I think.
I think common sense would prevail.
Yeah, I
here
think
probably.
discretion, common sense makes sense.
Okay.
Just one other comment. When we get to the bylaw, it includes more than the fees that are here, is that correct? Like I noticed there were some fire fees there and,
those are the same this year from
They
last
haven't
year,
changed.
they're not changed. Okay. And Mayor Bridge, we agreed that we do one bylaw a year, just,
Yeah.
so we know which one to go to.
Yeah.
We intended to have one bylaw that was 3 or 4 years old with schedules, and sometimes we didn't get the right fee, so this makes it clear every year.
And I think that was one of the reasons why we did that, because when we first started this process, we were all over the map, we didn't know what bylaw was in effect. Like it was, we had different ones for different groups, so I think this is a good way to go and brings it up every year. Right? Gord's shaking his head. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, we had a lot of different bylaws, okay. Good. And moving on into building, or motion to Council Turton, Council Caldwell, all in favor? Keep his hands moving. Okay.
Mayor Bridge, monthly building permit summary is there for you for the period ending February 28th. The chief building official has done an excellent chart. Shows you that in the last several years, we're off to one of our best starts in a while. So, the main culprit for that is the $500,000 max convenience store, which is under construction and proposed to be completed next month, if you can believe that. And they're moving very
They are
quickly,
moving on that,
working in all
wow.
kinds of weather. We have,
Sundays they're working?
we have 2 building permits for homes already issued. So we're a little bit, about the same as last year in number of permits, but a lot higher value so far.
Looking good. And I think Terry, last time I talked to him, he said there's been a lot of tire kickers, so we're looking like we're gonna have a good year.
Just a recommendation to receive that for.
Recommendation received. Deputy Mayor Fisk, Councilor Turton, all in favor? Carries. Okay. That's it for you, and I'm gonna turn it over to Councilor Caldwell.
Okay.
Being the chair.
Finance has 4 items on the agenda tonight, one very important one, but we'll start off with the approval of accounts from March 12, 2014.
Great, thanks, Chair Caldwell. So this one totaled $335,000. And our highlights were, well, we paid our Saugeen Valley levy, so that was about $38,000. Our trusty snow removal, which doesn't seem to go away, another $13,000 there. Another $18,000 in salt and sand, and that's just for February. And a little bit more design work on the 16th line. And our hydro bill, someone was asking where are major expenses, and I said, energy, you know, whether it's fuel, it's gas, you know, we have $57,000 in hydro, and that's, you know, after wages, that's gotta be our number 2 cost. It's just keeping the lights on and the trucks running for sure. So, any other questions?
Is there any questions for the treasurer? No? Then the recommendation is that the council of the town of Minto receives the treasurer's report dated March 12, 2014 regarding approval of accounts and approves the town of Minto accounts by department for March 2014. Councillor Elliott, seconded by Mayor Bridge. All in favor? Okay. And the second item on our agenda is an application for a tile drain loan.
So this may be a first sign of spring. We got our first tile drain loan of the year. So this is on a property on the 11th line. And again, this is where we're the intermediaries for the province. There's been no changes to the tile drain program so far, and this is for an amount of $30,000, and if you remember, the maximum was $50,000. And we are getting everyone to swear that they only have one loan outstanding, so. Yeah.
Any questions? Yes, the recommendation is the council of the town of Minto receives the report from the tax collector regarding an application for tile drain loan by James and Doreen Harkness and approves the attached application for a loan under the Tile Drainage Act. Moved by Councillor Turton, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fisk. All in favor? And our third item on the agenda is to review the budget impacts.
Okay, and this is our confusing statutory one that I have to do. Basically, I'm saying that we're not including certain expenses in our budget, and we're doing it in the old cash basis. So that the majority of the expenses that we don't include is amortization expense. And in fact, all I have here are estimates, because it'll probably be another month or so before we actually have those figures. But we still budget as if we're, you know, buying an asset and financing it in that year. Just a bit of history is our amortization has been running 2.6, 2.8 million, and we always say, well, it's not a incredibly truthful figure, but it's one basis, and so our capital budget should be more than that, and you see we're quite a bit more than that. There's certain other figures, liabilities, and that for retired employees. In larger municipalities, this could be quite significant. I'm thinking more at the county level, because you've got your post-closure costs for landfill and many more employees with post-employment benefits. But just to be conscious that we're approving a budget and it does not include amortization, but it does include capital replacement.
Are there any questions? Yes. Jerry Fitz?
Through you, Chairman Caldwell, I just wondering, what's the purpose of not including our reserves in, for accounting purposes?
Well, when the changes came in, they basically said reserves disappear. That's not entirely true because there's still on our financial information return, we still report on reserves, but we now consolidate all of our operating, our capital, and our reserves, so like our reserve bank accounts and that, all show up on one balance sheet. But reserves as such are not a concept under PSAP. Like when we transfer to a reserve or from a reserve, in our financial statement, that's eliminated. It's like if you've got many companies and you consolidate them all, so it disappears, and that's just one of the changes that came in 2009.
But they still exist.
They still exist. They're on our books. They're still there. Yeah, I still track them, and I still have to report on them. And like our development charges, well, we legislatively have to put them in a separate reserve and track them, and I have to give a report to you on what we did with them. So they're gone, but they're really still there. They're in the background a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, that troubles me too. The other thing is, you made a comment about, if it was at the county level about the amortization, that it'd be significant, but
Yeah.
does that still give us a true picture when we don't include that?
Yeah, it's better. I could see in the next, whatever, within 5 years or something, where they're probably gonna mandate us that we move towards doing amortization. But the problem is, and I know I probably explained this before, it's based on historical cost. So it really has nothing to do with maybe the replacement cost. Like this building here is now getting on to, 25, years old
Amortization's
originally.
almost gone.
It's gone.
But to replace it would be,
Yeah. Harrison
$10
Town
million.
Hall, like, the only thing on the books will be the renovations we did in '98, but probably one of our more valuable buildings, so it's not a greatly meaningful figure, and
I
it's
just don't
sort
want
of-
us giving the impression that we're shuffling cards.
No.
But more importantly is amortization is not a cash item.
No, I understand.
And we're doing our budget based on our operating cash that is coming in.
That's right.
So we're looking at what replacement capital assets we're buying in 2014, rather than what we're gonna amortize, which is just writing off the current
Right.
assets.
And hopefully we're,
I know what you're
yeah,
saying, but I have a different
yeah,
answer.
and like, we now have the asset management plan, so hopefully the figures in there are more realistic, and they're more based forward-looking, and that's what you're more interested in, too.
and when you get into, and through you, Chair, when you get into amortization, when you're into the private sector, your amortization is a totally different thing in the sense that it can be added back onto your value. It doesn't make sense
Yeah.
in our world, really, because you're not talking about taking it out and from a taxation standpoint, eliminating it. And when you're doing lending, you're going back in with it, so.
Yeah.
You have to be careful with trying to mix the two up. I think, but we're moving closer towards understanding away from municipal act, where it used to be.
That's right.
To better business climate, I think, and are you not with that?
Oh, I agree with you
Yeah.
100%.
It's easier to do a business statement and go forward and do a 5-year.
Yeah.
And as far as reserves and debts, we still track that well, and we've got those charts that show us, well, that's never gonna go away. We wanna know what our reserves are,
That's
so whether
right.
this works out that way or not, doesn't.
Yeah.
We're still, from a council standpoint, we still know we got X number of dollars in
That's right.
reserve,
And
we have so much in debt.
Yeah.
We still play that.
And even if you don't know exactly what the asset values are, at least there are asset values, and then the old way, they
We had no idea.
disappeared, they were gone, yeah, so.
Are there any other questions? Okay, the recommendation is the council receives and approves the report dated March 12, 2014 from the treasurer regarding budget impacts for regulation 284/09. May I have someone make that motion? Council Faulkner, seconded by Mayor Bridge. All in favor? And it's passed. Thank you. And our final item on the agenda is the important one,
That's right.
the budget adoption.
exactly. That's probably the most important bylaw we passed for the year, so. We've had again, a lot of consultation, and it's been on YouTube, and we had a public open house attended by certain family members and the public, eh? And, there was a bit of feedback, more feedback, I think, from council, and, staff has incorporated those changes in there too. Basically, using, you have your assessment, base for 2013, added in all the changes. If you call that 100%, it's a 1.9% increase on the local levy. County is yet to pass its tax rates. School board has come in and they're slightly lower again. Again, it's set on a province-wide zone basis, and we've kind of projected where we think the county's going to end up, and the blended is for an average house, and an average house is $198,000. I think that's based on the median
Yep,
value.
that's-
There's
yeah,
there's
it's-
different averages, and I think the county reported about 5 different ways to
Yeah, but
calculate.
they actually are gonna go with the 100,000. They're gonna talk to you.
Yeah, I know, I'm gonna talk to them
Well, they're
about
gonna get a
that.
consensus, maybe go to the.
Yeah, I guess, well, see, my problem with that is 100,000 in Minto is half a house.
Yeah, I know.
100,000 in Porcelains is a garage.
That's it.
I don't think that's comparable, but anyway.
Yeah, but no,
yeah.
but the dollar per 100,000 worth of assessment, so you just multiply it
Yeah.
by 6. If it's like the average, I felt kind of poor because.
Which
when
is
I
a
was
good
at
thing.
I was at the AF&P meeting today of the county, and, you know, they show bush lynch, they're one of those examples, average house is 614,000, their average house is, and we're 198, we're the low. So it's like, yeah,
Anyway,
but it
All
works
right.
for us.
it is assessment, and, yeah, we pay based on assessment, so. Anyway, we have a relatively ambitious capital budget again, and we're blending use of reserves and carry forwards from previous years. And the only borrowing we have is the one that we anticipated last year, which will be for the new meters. And probably in the fall or so, right now it's what they call the construction financing at 1.59%. And when that's done, we'll lock in with Infrastructure Ontario at whatever the rates are, probably September, October, so.
Are there any questions? Before I read the recommendation, I would just like, okay, I just,
And I'll tell you, finance isn't my forte. I understand and can add and subtract and look at figures. And from a personal note, as a counselor, I want to thank you and your staff for making it comprehensible for guys like me.
Great,
I
well.
just want to publicly say that because it, from the first time we came on council to now, it's like night and day. And thanks for it.
Great, well, thank you.
And your staff.
Yeah, Bill's worked a lot on it too, and that's, I guess, part of our job. It's not just to do it, but to communicate it properly too.
and that was more my comment too. I was just gonna thank everyone, including council, department heads, Gord, and all of the staff. This budget, it's getting harder every single year, and we're gonna come into some harder times with the infrastructure if the other levels of government do not continue to support. And, you know, I recommend, or I thank everyone involved for making this budget as tight as it is, that we can say we have a 1.9, a 1.3 blended rate. I think that's wonderful, and I hope that next year we, you know, have the support that we need from the other levels so that we can keep ours at this type level. So thanks again, everyone.
Can I just make one comment?
Sure.
I give the staff, as well as the budget process, I think the fact that we've been successful on a couple requests from the provinces, and they've come through, one with the water, which was important, which we worked hard on, and with our last request for 100,000 for the culvert, some of the other things we did to get ourselves to this level. But there is dark clouds in the horizon, and one of the things I got from the FP today at the county level is the provincial government, if it's the same provincial government, they're gonna start looking at this education thing because, you know.
Yeah, it's not gonna keep going
They're
down.
hitting now, they're at $3.9 billion, they're taken off their bottom line. And that you, so watch out, they'll be trying to put that back on the property taxes someday. So we'll have to be very careful, very, frugal as far as how we do our things. But I'm liking the fact that our reserves and our when we started to today, our reserves are higher than our debt, and we've got ourselves in a good position to go forward. So,
Keep her up.
Anyone else? Okay, the recommendation is council of the town of Minto accepts the treasurer's report dated March 13th and considers the passage of the related budget bylaw in regular session. We have someone, Councillor Elliott and Deputy Mayor Fisk. All in favor? And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Additional items. Ron, you had one quick one?
Yes, I sure do. It's with deep sadness I wanted to announce that Glenn Bell of the town of Minto has passed on. And he was a member of our PRAC committee and a very active, dedicated citizen in our community. Glenn thought a lot of town of Minto and had a lot of ideas, was very aggressive in trying to bring them forward to our community. He was an asset, and we're sure going to miss him. And I offer our condolences from our council to him. And actually, I may leave in a couple of minutes, Mr. Mayor, before the adjournment, so that I could go to his visitation and take that opportunity if I could. And like I said, it's in deep sadness that I do that.
Actually, and when we were at the beginning of the meeting tonight and asked for the public question, I think Glenn was the only one asked the public question.
Yes, he is.
And I looked over and, for many early council meetings, he sat right behind where Campbell is there, and it's a sad day.
And he did work at the Norgan Theatre for a while too, so he not only had to say the say, and he walked the walk too, so.
He was a great community member.
And you'll notice when you go to the visitation tonight that he has a pad and a pen ready to take notes from the council.
Wonderful.
In a Toronto Maple Leaf jersey.
And a Toronto Maple Leaf jersey, yes.
Anyways, thanks for that, Ron. Gary?
A couple things. I spoke to Dale Franklin regarding the hospital gala, and she assures me that there'll be a table for the town of Minto. So I guess we need to make sure that we make use of it.
Yep.
And I've also asked her in the future, when the time comes to start this process, that she notify CAO Clerk White that it's time, and then hopefully he can come to council and we can make sure that we don't have to go through this process again. And the other thing is, I'd like to just remind everyone, CAO Clerk White was kind enough to put a letter in from the Maitland Conservation Foundation about their upcoming auction and banquet, and in the past we've supported that, so hopefully there'll be some councillors and their spouses that might be able to make it to that. April 11th is the actual date.
By the 27th.
Yeah.
So Sue will be back by then.
I'm more than willing, I guess I'm kind of the social convener of this council, it seems like, but I don't mind if you want to report to me, and I'll see that we're accommodated.
Let's try to get a good representation. I think
It's a nice night, and it's a worthy cause again, so.
and if I'm there with Sue, I won't end up buying too much at the auction.
Okay, well,
You go a little
they
crazy.
may maybe just soon have you there by yourself.
I
then.
think so, because I'm a little loose.
Buy a paddle or two.
I got a paddle already.
You almost ended up with a kayak the first
I know. I wasn't there. I know. Thanks, Tim. Okay, good. Okay. Moved by Councilor Colwell, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk. The committee of the whole convenes the town of Minto Council. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Faulkner. The Council of Town of Minto ratifies motions made in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Turton, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk. The bylaw number 2014-16 be the bylaw to establish fees and charges for various services provided by the municipality being introduced and read first, second, third time, passed on to council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Counselor Caldwell, second by Counselor Elliott, that the bylaw number 2014-17 being the bylaw to adopt the estimates of all sums required during the 2014 for the purpose of, if the municipality be introduced. What's that? Required during 2014 for the purpose.
The purposes of.
Of, okay, I was gonna say if, doesn't make sense. Of the municipality be introduced and read in first, second, third time, passed to open council and sealed the corporation. All in favor?
Don't get that one wrong.
No, it's that one. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councilor Caldwell, that bylaw number 2014-18 being the bylaw to amend the appointment bylaw 2014-6 be introduced and read for a second, third time, and passed over to council, seal corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Faulkner, second by Councilor Caldwell, bylaw number 2014-19 being the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the March 18, 2014 committee and council meeting be introduced and read first, second, third time, passed over to council, seal corporation. All in favor? And finally, moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Turton, that the council of the town of Minto adjourn to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Thank you very much.